guys, it's Julia and welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I'm going to be doing a non-spoilery book review of The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ada Lavender by Leslie Walton. I went into this knowing it is a magical realism book that is YA, that is about a girl that is born with wings. And that is true, but we follow 3 generations of her family, so not only do we follow Ava Lavender, we follow her mother and her grandmother. And we start off with the grandmother and her going through her life, and this book is actually really tragic, but we follow the 3 generations, and I don't want to say too much about the synopsis because it's best not to know too much, but this book is magical realism if I didn't say that already, and it is really whimsical and it is very strange, like very strange. Like the whole time I was like, what the hell? And this definitely goes to say that sometimes you do not know what is real, what is fake, because of the magical element within it, but also sometimes this book can be a little bit confusing. Sometimes I didn't catch a certain little thing, or at times I was a little bit confused on one little thing, and it can get like that, but overall it is really bizarre, and some things they're kind of written that it's not extremely obvious, so you will have to like figure it out. And it's much more complicated than I expected. It's really different. I don't think I've ever read something like this before. And Walton definitely knows how to write her books. Like, holy. Like, this book is written like line by line. It was beautiful. And again, at times I said it was confusing, but some things weren't obvious. Like, this book was very vague in a lot of ways, which some people love, and then some people don't like as much. I didn't love it as much, how vague it was. I mean, at times it was confusing, and then I'm like, am I understanding this? Like, I don't know. And I did get a gist of it though by the end. Like, I knew what the hell happened in the book, but it was vague. So if you don't love that, you may not like this book that much. Also, many things in here can be interpreted in different ways, so keep that in mind, that if you think one thing happened and someone else thinks another thing happened, you don't really know for sure, because like a lot of it can be interpreted in your own way, which again, some people love and some people don't love. So keep that in mind as well. For the characters, for most of the part, I enjoyed them. I did like seeing the 3 generations. It was probably my favorite part. We start off with the grandmother, whose name is Emily and something like that. I'll put the name on the screen. I'm horrible with names, so I'm sorry. She was probably my favorite. Her story was the most tragic, but she was like the strongest out of all the ladies, and we were with her the longest. Like, we were with her from beginning to end, so I was very like attached to her and I was comfortable with her. We have her daughter, which is Vivian, which I did like her. I mean, one of the love stories with her was kind of irritating, and that was her own story, I guess, but it was interesting how they did the love story, but her story was like, okay. And for Ada Lavender, surprisingly, her story was the one that I liked the least. Not that it was bad, like by the end it was like the most, like it wrapped up at, like, you know, but it wasn't the one that I loved the most to read. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was still like the one that I wasn't as invested in. I think maybe she was introduced a little too late in my opinion, and her name's on the cover and I'm like, where is she? And you meet her like near like the half and like the second, like the last quarter, but I thought that was interesting. But she was like the person I was least attached to, and I don't know, the whole wing thing wasn't really like, I liked the other 2 stories a bit better, oddly enough, and like the pacing and all that jazz. It is slow, like it's slow. It's about 300 pages, but it felt longer for me. It felt more complex. I think this author is skilled that she can write something this in like with so much of a punch in 300 pages. Like, I think that's pretty good. And again, this happens to me all the time. It's been happening to me recently. With my enjoyment, it just goes up and down, like it spikes. But like sometimes I was like totally into this. I was like, yes, yes. And my buddy read this with Sajid from Books on My Social Life, which I probably should have mentioned earlier. But I was like, we said 100 pages, and then I was like, can we do a little bit more? Like, could I read a bit more? Because like I was dying to read more. So we ended up finishing this in like 2 or 3 days. So that was great. Again, I think this is a good book to buddy read because there is so many ways you can interpret certain things. Like the way the story was written and the characters made me really want to keep reading. Like, it kept me reading. So the setting, like for most of the part, it's a small town, and there's nothing like remarkable about this setting. Like, it's not really like an atmospheric kind of book. Like, it is whimsically written, if you know what I'm saying, but it's not like the setting is like amazing. But I like the bakery. That was like my favorite part. I love the bakery, and it was just a nice touch, and I just love the bakery. Like, can I get some bread from there, please? But overall, this was enjoyable. It was like unique and bizarre. It's not what I thought, and it's definitely like some people I see would absolutely love this, and some people would be like about it. But I gave this book about a 3.5 out of 5 stars, which, if you know, for me, that's good for me. And yeah, I was really surprised by this book in good and bad ways, I guess. But for the most part, it was a solid read. So if you're looking for something that is whimsical and that is kind of vague, then this would be a good place. Also, if you're looking for something that's kind of takes like something that is outside the average young adult books that maybe you typically read, then this is kind of like a different book in the YA genre. Thank you guys so much for watching my review on The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. Let me know your thoughts down below if you've read the book or would like to, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as per usual, I'll see you guys soon with a new video. Bye!